You would think UFC fighters eat healthy, but some eat the hottest foods in the world.
Come on, man.
Others eat some pretty weird foods.
Oh my god.
But one fighter's diet nearly killed him. We gotta start it off with the funniest guy in the UFC, Sean Strickland. Now, we all know Sean is a bold person to say the least, but what he ate here was just downright crazy. Sean has expressed his admiration for feet in the past, but this time he took it to a whole new level. This dude started eating chicken feet during an interview. To be fair, this isn't the craziest thing he's done.
I like sex with hot women.
Speaking of eating raw meat, wait, hold up. One guy that has no problem going raw is Paul Costa. See, Paul Costa might seem like a normal guy in the octagon, but when it comes to food, this guy is an absolute freak. Paul Costa was munching some raw meat with the Liver King.
What the get out of there?
Talk about trying to hit your protein goals. Speaking of protein, this next fighter we have is a little trouble hitting his macros. See, UFC legend Derrick Lewis can handle the heat in the octagon, and considering he's a heavyweight, you would think food wouldn't be his biggest enemy. But Derrick finally met his match, a plate of spicy hot wings.
They don't even taste like chicken.
These weren't just any hot wings though. They were flaming hot and they left Derrick tapping out like Conor versus Khabib.
How you can tap? Go sleep?
Speaking of Conor McGregor, let's see what the UFC's biggest star, Conor McGregor, eats. Beyond all the headlines and wild antics, the Notorious is seriously committed to his diet and fitness.
It could be like spinach on the side, but then maybe like some fruit, a strawberry smoothie, or like strawberries and, you know, maybe some watermelon or pineapple, and that would be a good fueled breakfast.
You might be amazed to find out his eating habits are among the most shocking in the UFC. Just look at him. He's been a dominant force in the octagon for years, and there's not an ounce of unnecessary fat on him. But here's the twist. Conor can't even sit through a press conference without a snack. It's not all about protein shakes and grilled chicken for him. He takes it up a notch, indulging in full-on steak dinners with a sip of his very own brand of whiskey.
Proper 12. Proper Irish whiskey.
But here's the interesting part. Conor's diet, as revealed by his coach George Lockhart, is protein-packed and focused on specific carbs like fruits, green veggies, sweet potatoes, and butternut squash. He avoids takeout food like the plague, but does admit to having a sweet tooth. At the end of the day, it's all about a clean diet, as he puts it, high-quality meats, greens, and top-notch carbs like sweet potatoes and butternut squash. Now, let's break down a typical day of eating for McGregor. He kicks things off with breakfast including oats, eggs, and sautéed greens. Then, for a morning snack, he goes for a fruit and herb salad drizzled with organic honey. Lunch is all about chicken breast, rice, and asparagus, followed by a midday snack, a McGregor fast vanilla whey protein shake with nut butter. Dinner is a hearty Irish lamb stew with potatoes, and to the end of the day, he treats himself to homemade McGregor fast chocolate whey protein balls paired with organic tea. You'd think with McGregor's eating habits, he'd be sluggish in the octagon, but here's the revelation. When the stakes are high, Conor always delivers, thanks to his unique approach to dieting. As the Notorious once said, "When it's fight time, I cut down on the sugars. They slow down my recovery. But I up the carbs, I need the energy for the fight." And that's what sets him apart in the world of the UFC. Now let's shift our focus to the current UFC welterweight champion, Leon Edwards, who places a high priority on fueling his body for peak performance, and the results speak volumes. His daily meal plan, guided by Jordan Sullivan, an esteemed sports nutritionist working with UFC stars like Israel Adesanya and Alexander Volkanovski, is quite intriguing. To kick off the day, Edwards starts with an omelet paired with guacamole and some fruit. For a quick snack, he goes for a protein shake, packing a solid 20 grams of protein. Lunch consists of minced turkey and a variety of vegetables, followed by a snack that may surprise you, chocolate protein pudding. He follows this with another snack, doubling down on the protein pudding. Just before hitting the gym for a training session, he munches on 10 jelly beans. You might wonder about the jelly beans, but there's a reason behind this seemingly odd pre-training snack. Those little beans are packed with sugar, and they play a crucial role in ramping up his training performance. They elevate his blood glucose levels, ensuring that when he steps into the gym and starts working out, that glucose is readily available for his muscles to use. It's all about maximizing his energy output. As for cheat meals, it's a topic that can spark debate amongst fitness enthusiasts. Edwards, however, takes a balanced approach. He refrains from cheating during his training camp, but once the camp is over, he allows himself a sweet indulgence, M&Ms. In his words, "I'll do a solid 2 weeks of training and then I'll have a pack of M&Ms just to treat myself once in a while." It's all about balance and rewarding himself for his hard work. That said, let's talk about the older dogs in the sport, and there's no one better to spotlight that than one of the greatest fighters to ever grace the octagon, Anderson Silva. The Spider, widely regarded as the greatest of all time, had an aura of invincibility during his prime, and his middleweight legacy remains unparalleled. But let's rewind to 2019, when Silva, at the age of 43, made a comeback after nearly 2 years away from the octagon to face the last stylebender. Here's a peek into his daily eating routine during fight camp. His day begins with a protein-packed breakfast, typically consisting of 4 eggs, chicken, and a protein shake. This nourishment fuels him before his first training session. After that session, he heads back home for a recovery shake and another meal. This follow-up could be a chicken salad, or sometimes just salad and oats to incorporate some good carbs. Later in the day, Silva returns to the gym for a night training session, followed by one more meal, usually rich in proteins. His approach during camp is to keep carbs and proteins separate in meals throughout the week. He pretty much sticks to the same diet week after week, all throughout his training camp. Now, each fighter has their own unique approach to nutrition, and let's talk about Georges St-Pierre. George dominated the UFC welterweight division for nearly a decade, solidifying his place as one of the greatest of all time. Then, after a 4-year hiatus, he returned in 2017 to snatch Michael Bisping's middleweight title, becoming only the 4th 2-division champion in UFC history. As he prepared for the weigh-in, George had to make a drastic dietary shift. No potatoes, no pasta, nothing with carbohydrates. Instead, he loaded up on greens and lean foods and ensured he stayed well hydrated. On the day of the weigh-in, he sweated it out in the sauna. But after the weigh-in, it was time for a different strategy. He reintroduced carbs into his diet, opting for a bowl of pasta or something carbohydrate-rich. This approach allowed his body to soak up the lost water and rehydrate effectively. Speaking of preparing for weigh-ins, this UFC fighter took it a little too far and claims he nearly died and saw God during his extreme weight cut 24 hours before his fight. Jake Hadley was so focused on cutting down his weight he forgot to properly hydrate himself, which almost ended up being a fatal mistake. Don't make the same mistake Jake did. Take a sip of water and remember to stay hydrated, folks. Talking about extreme diets, there are UFC stars who take a markedly different approach to their nutrition, and one of them is none other than Nate Diaz. In the world of the UFC, Diaz stands out as one of the most well-known advocates of a plant-based diet, having given up meat at the young age of 18.
Eat your vegetables.
However, it's important to note that Diaz strictly follows a vegan diet only during his fight training periods. When he's not in training camps, he sometimes leads toward a pescatarian diet. During his training phases, Diaz's plate is filled with a variety of vegan delights, from bean-based pasta to tempeh and healthy bowls of oatmeal, berries, and nuts. This dietary choice results in increased energy, a reduction in the consumption of preserved foods that can be hard on your digestive system, and a diet that naturally maintains his weight. But Diaz isn't the only UFC fighter who's embraced veganism. There's a growing community of vegan athletes in the UFC, including names like Mac Danzig, Jake Shields, and Fiona Maxlow. This shift towards veganism is gaining popularity among UFC athletes as it's seen as a way to enhance performance and recovery, all while aligning with ethical and sustainable principles. With that said, let's take a closer look at the dietary regimen of an undefeated fighter, and that fighter happens to be none other than Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib boasts a flawless record with no losses in his entire career and reigned as the undefeated UFC lightweight champion for a solid 3 years, making his diet all that more intriguing. He's a firm believer in the philosophy of eat like the eagle, fight like the eagle, which champions a clean and balanced diet. His daily meal plan consists of 5 meals with a strong focus on proteins, carbohydrates, and healthy fats. To jumpstart his day, the Eagle begins with a smoothie crafted from vegetable leaves, grass-fed whey, a banana, and either pea protein powder or brown rice, all blended with ice and water. For the second meal, Khabib opts for a cup of yogurt, half a cup of blueberries, and a sprinkle of crushed walnuts. When it's time for lunch, marked as a meal 3, he dives into a green salad featuring components like cabbage, mushrooms, tomatoes, spinach, cucumbers, and baby romaine. As an evening snack in meal 4, he prefers 3 boiled eggs, 1 yolk, and 2 red peppers, all accompanied by a refreshing cucumber. And when it's dinner time, Khabib enjoys a serving of either grilled or slow-cooked turkey or chicken, coupled with a half a cup of black beans containing just a dash of sodium and a side of asparagus. But here's the twist. Like any other human, Khabib occasionally grants himself cheat meals to appease his cravings, and when it's time to indulge, he's all about fast food, with a burger or pizza being his favorite.
Brother, for me, burger with double cheese. Okay.
Eating a healthy, well-balanced diet is indeed crucial for UFC fighters. It not only impacts their performance, but also ensures they make weight for their fights without facing penalties. When it comes to whose diet works best, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more UFC content.